This is an overview of some of the shorts that I start to post. It's about the days when I was in 30s or even younger, and also 35, something like that, when the Japan was growing so rapidly. The companies like Matsushita Electric or Panasonic or Honda, Toyota, many companies has grown so rapidly. And as a young engineer at the time, I was also curious about management, which I went to the business school later, triggered me to think about what to do in my life. But at the age 75 and reflecting back what kind of impact I had, I think there's something good that I can share. And I picked Soichiro Honda from Honda Motors founder, and Konosuke Matsushita, the founder of Matsushita Electric or Panasonic, as two interesting characters. I read and studied a lot. I may have watched some of the video, but in those days the video was limited. But the influence I got was so profound. So let me just share with Honda first and then talk about Matsushita. Honda's character is just out of the world, that he played with geisha girls, and his idea about life, in my view, is just to challenge and explore what he likes the best, which is the car-related stuff. I remember the story of him chasing after the car when the number of cars was limited in Japan, because he liked the smell of the exhaust gas. He went to a faraway place when I think that was some kind of exhibition of a car happening, riding a bike, and very long distance. And since he didn't have money, he climbed up the pine tree and watched how the car ran. So that's the beginning of his life. And he was wild in terms of his imagination, pursuing what he liked. And eventually he came up with some idea to start business after the war, and then went to car, or before that was motorcycle, lots of stories. It's just fascinating. And then the current Honda motor was built. There are lots of stories about the one that I picked up. I remember one of the amazing story was when he retired with Fujisawa, another guy he co-founded Honda Motor. He shook hands with every single person in Japan who worked for Honda. And I met the person from Ohio factory. She didn't shake hands, but maybe there are too many people, and Honda was old, so I think he went around with a vehicle and waved hands and stuff like that. Fascinating story, and I want to talk a little bit more about it because there's a spirit of entrepreneur, chasing the dream, living the dream, sometimes a little bit off the common sense. But his personality attracted many, and I remember said, whatever the diploma you have, you cannot go enter the movie theater, pointing that the piece of paper doesn't do any good when it comes to living life. So that's the spirit. So that's one story. There are more I want to share because that's fascinating to me, and I'm sure the story like his experience may help some others, whether it's entrepreneurial or having a dream to live, whatever. Konosuke Matsushita is almost the opposite of Honda. Honda was charismatic and wild, But Konosuke Matsushita is more, how can I say, conservative, very proper, and he started at the bottom of the society when I think the family went bankrupt. That he has to go for apprenticeship. So, well, Honda started from the bottom of the industry and figured out. So it's kind of similar, but the way Konosuke Matsushita started had influenced him so much. He had to work with a bunch of other people in the traditional Japanese hierarchy. Not the class hierarchy, but the respect of the elderly. So he did lots of chores and cleaning kind of job, just like a story of the sushi chef has to spend 5 years cooking rice. That's a traditional expression in Japan that you have to get the sense of what's going on at the shop floor and relate to people and still contribute something for the best of you can and for the owner of the business and for the society. So climbing up that ladder in his own way, he founded Matsushita Electric, later called Panasonic, with little invention, and he and his wife invested money. His wife sold her kimono to the pawn shop, whatever, to make some cash to invest. It was not easy process, but just like Honda, Matsushita was entrepreneurial. That apprenticeship that he went through had influenced him a lot about human nature, not just business. So his depth of, you may call it the philosophy, is very profound, and I may have a chance to talk about one of the book I just read. Remembered was, it's called the Success as a Human. So business is related to success of the human. So you learn from business to achieve that aim. And later even he opened the school, not just economics and business, but also the political arena, so that this small school became very famous to produce lots of congressmen and senates in Japan. Was founded after his company grew so much and he went to go much farther for the future. He has written many books. He has published a monthly magazine, I believe, maybe bi-monthly, I don't remember. And as long as he worked until very late in his years, he was diligent in sharing stories that everybody can understand. Because he didn't go to any school. He learned by doing, but also reading the stuff, many of them from Japanese history book, or the sportsmanship and shogun and whatever that he can hands-on. But one of the idea is collect the wisdom of people, and his management is known as Spring. He was called as the god of management. He was wealthy, many years top earner in Japan's businessman, and it was shown on the scene on the newspaper. So I want to touch his background, and the reason for that is that those people had influenced me in what I did in my books writing, speaking, and videos and others, and develop my character. Today's world I see is more like instant gratification. Things are changing rapidly, and there may be good reason. And when I was young, I was interested in making bucks, if you call that, or to explore what the potential is, and therefore I left Japan when I was in early 30s. But now, coming back at this age and revisiting Japan and ending my life in the next, I don't know how many years, hopefully not tomorrow or today, that there's some beautiful, critically important things I feel. My books are somewhat influenced, maybe a lot more than I think, to collect the wisdom of people with a good management principle, but also applying that in the individual's life, related to my experience in meditation, Zen, and spiritual pursuit, has a connection somewhere about bringing in, sharing the energy, and finding the source of the energy and connecting to that, and be happy in what you do, but also helping the society. So that's the spirit. Simple message, but concept can be understood. But the reality is in execution, and whatever way I can find, I like to share, because there are so many stories. I have captured some of the essences in my writing, but all in Japanese. But this is the moment, this little backpackers in this little bed I sleep in a tiny room. I put myself to go through this, to meet young people and share ideas and explore. So I'm back in Japan. I have 3 more weeks to be here, and I like to still keep on capturing those and share those ideas to whomever is interested. We are somewhere the same, somehow we're coming from the same origin, and with this mechanism of YouTube or a bunch of others, we can share. There are stories of AI, and I had engineering background, so I know something about it, but there's a character issue that the AI is more words conceptual and synthesizing those, but the stories that need to be understood, because that's more triggering us, not just get the result and move on. There's a life lived in the process that we find meaningful, truthfully, and sincerely, that we can gain, and instant gratification may be very much fake. So I'm hoping that I can throw in my 3 cents, American expression, to whoever may be interested to listen to my story. Thank you.